about this retirement decision then? Because I imagine, you know, it's a massive thing, isn't it, to have to come to terms with. And for you, frustrating because it was injury that led to it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird time as well. I've had an amazing kind of reaction on social media. No one's ever been so nice to me before. I think I might come back and retire again. I always said, look, if I wasn't able to perform at the level I wanted to, then I wasn't gonna play anymore. And obviously, just before the World Cup, I would have loved to have given it a shot. I had hardly played for Northampton Saints this year through injury, and normally for someone that was quite consistent all the time, I just haven't been able to do it. And it's a weird situation, just emotionally, because I think I've been doing something for 17 and a half years and always knowing what I was doing. You know, I was lucky enough, I went to kind of boarding school, but I've kind of been institutionalised my entire life. So suddenly, as of yesterday, I have nothing to do. Well, I do, but do you know what I mean? You don't have the structure, you don't have the requirements to be in. I've got no boss, which is interesting, so I can finally speak my mind, even though I was pretty much doing it beforehand.
Which must be massively liberating, but at the same time, I imagine there are those who find it really difficult to cope with that feeling, don't they?
Yeah, there's a massive mental health element to this. I think, you know, a lot of players really struggle. I think there's stuff being done about that to try to help. But it is very hard. You do have good days and bad days. I'm very lucky. I'm not just saying it because Rich is here, but I've got a fantastic wife who fully understands the situation, the transition. And like most people, I have a good, positive exterior, but there's days where I'm you know, disappointed, a bit saddened. You know, there's a game coming up this weekend, England versus the Barbarians. I would have loved to have finished that game playing for either side. I had a chat with the England coach, but I just can't do it. You know, I sort of limped into the studio, and it's just frustrating because I think from my ankle up, I feel brilliant.
Yeah.
I've aged quite badly, but apart from that, I feel pretty good. But it's just one of those things, unfortunately.
Yes, I mean, we were talking only a few months ago. I mean, Eddie, the coach, really wanted to take you to Japan. He wanted you to play, and that was all part of the game plan, wasn't it? And it just became depressingly clear that damn foot was going to be the thing that was going to stop you. And I was really concerned for you, actually, you know, because, as you say, you are defined by what you've been doing since you were at school, actually. I mean, you know, playing at school and then playing professionally. And we had David Seaman in yesterday, and I asked him how he coped when he finally stopped playing. And he said the key is to have lots of other things to move into. But that's not going to be a problem for you, is it? You've got so much going on.
Do you know what I do? I just think I've always tried to look to do things outside of your career. And actually, weirdly enough, if you have a really taxing job, but you find hobbies and different outlets, it actually allows you to focus more on your job because you leave all your work in your workplace. So, you know, when I wake up and went into Saints at 7:30 in the morning and came out at 4 in the afternoon, everything about that day was me trying to be the best rugby player. But on top of that, I kind of had the DJing, I had the fitness business. We've got this kind of podcast, House of Rugby, which is
hugely
going well.
successful.
Yeah, it's been going well.
In Europe, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of all these little things have been great. It's just for me, it's going to be the little nuts and bolts that are really important. And because I never wanted to be do something vocational, like a journalist, like a doctor, you kind of almost freelance, having to make that work yourself and hustle.
And you were very honest in your wedding day speech. You said that to achieve what you've achieved, to be basically an international athlete, an international sportsman at that level, you have to be quite selfish. You actually have to develop as a human being in quite a selfish way because it has got to be all about you.
You've been talking to Chloe as well, haven't you?
Yeah. No, but you were very honest about that.
Yeah, no, you have to be super selfish. I think that is one thing that it isn't often talked about with sports people in their relationships and people around them. You do have to be incredibly selfish. And I think it'd be even worse trying to go out with an individual sportsman. Because, you know, I do a bit of DJing on the side, you know, and I love it. It's kind of a passion. For me, it's a nice replacement. You know, you have that buzz, adulation of going to perform. I think a lot of players miss that. You know, if you went straight from a rugby field into an office and didn't have any of that kind of stuff, it's very difficult. But I think if I had that mentality of an individual sportsman, it must be mad. So you look at the likes of like Roger Federer, you know, what it's like just doing everything solely to be the best player. But with the confines of my job, you're in a team sport as well.
Yeah. Well, I learned as well, getting to know you over the last 4 or 5 years, is I always assumed that with sportsmen and women, injury was something which came along, was dealt with, or not, but was dealt with, and then back you went, and that was gone. But it's not like that at all. As you accumulate injuries through your career, they stay with you. I mean, you can get the better of them, but they're still there. They're always in the background. And you're carrying this heavier and heavier sack of injuries over your shoulder until finally they come and get you. The courage, the physical courage that's needed to sort of power through that really impressed me. Really impressed me, getting to know you.
It is a kind of a bizarre situation where you expect I think for normal civilians who don't have to put their body through what sports people do, you kind of go and see a surgeon, he fixes you, you do a little bit of physio, and then you're fine.
Yeah.
But because you're putting your body through the test and of contact sport of running, you do pick up these bits. And only one operation I've kind of had in my life did I come out of it going, oh, I feel brilliant after this. This is what I wanted, and it does. You're right. When I was a younger player, I could never imagine retiring. I looked at these older players who would retire from international rugby first and then stay doing club rugby. But it was a really difficult day for me. And even though I knew it, there was moments where, and Chloe would tell you, I kept waking up thinking, I've had a good day. Maybe I've made a mistake, but I'll be fine. And then suddenly 3 hours later, I wasn't able to walk properly or something would happen. And then you'd be like, actually, I have made a decision. And that's the constant battle. And because every day I had to keep turning up to training, it was like going to purgatory. You were kind of there seeing all the teammates you love, in a team you love, doing what you love, but you can't do it. And then suddenly you'd have a good day and a coach would say, could you play this weekend? You're like, I can do it. I couldn't do it.
Wake up the next morning.
It's a really difficult situation to be in,
Unable to.
isn't it? We were watching the pictures, weren't we? So we were seeing all your rugby playing before we came to speak to you, and you were commenting. We saw the pictures of you walking with Chloe into the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's wedding.
As you've seen in the last kind of 6 months, 7 months, privacy is probably the key. I've got enough godchildren and people wanting to show me their children.
Their little ones.
Yeah, the little ones
keep
already.
going for the time
yeah,
being.
it's like one of those things that, I obviously I'd love to have children at some point. But it's, my enthusiasm for meeting new children is just, once you see it, you're like, that's great. You can't speak and...
It's another baby.
Yeah.
What a lovely pram.
Wait till they get to rugby playing age.
Very quickly, everyone's asking you this. I sort of know the answer, but I won't say anything, and no comment's a perfectly good reply. The Jungle, I'm a Celebrity, Strictly Come Dancing, they're all knocking on your door. Any decisions yet?
Do you know what? I never actually wanted to do... I don't watch a lot of reality TV, if any. I watched the first kind of series of Big Brother. I watched a bit of I'm a Celeb and Strictly, obviously, because people I know have been on there. I don't know, to be honest with you. I never said I wanted to do it. So we'll see. If people come knocking and it makes sense, then that's fine.
I think you'd be amazing in either. I think seeing you doing the jive or the quick step would be hilarious.
Or being very nice, Richard. Anyone, my dancing, they'd confiscate my shoes and I'd probably get arrested for fraud trying to dance.
Are you frightened of anything in the jungle?
I'm quite a big girls' blouse on a number of fronts.
Well, they'd love you.
That's even funnier. That's even funnier.
Father-in-law.
Good, amazing, really, unbelievably supportive.
We get on really well, then.
Yeah.
Was he like when you first met him?
Do you know what? Obviously, they're part of British TV heritage. Rich and Judy, and I was a little bit nervous, and most people would have a bit of time. I got straight invited onto Boxing Day. When I went into the kitchen, I was told, leave Rich alone, because he's running the whole ship, cooking everything, he cooks all the food. And he told me to clear off, but he didn't use the word clear off. So I came back in to see Chloe, and I was...
The mind boggled.
I was mortified.
So you were put in your place from day one, is that
within
what you're
30
saying?
seconds, because I came in and I saw Rich and I thought, I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll see if he's into a bit of chat. So I gave him a bit of chat, he told me to clear off. I came back into that living room, and I was sort of sitting head down.
I didn't say clear, by the way.
Yeah. I sat down with my head down, and Chloe was like, what's wrong? And I was like, your dad's just told me to clear off. This was not a good idea. I don't think this is going to last. And he went, don't worry, he does that to everyone. So I was like,
Only in the kitchen. Only when I'm in the kitchen. Yeah. Turn into a monster in the kitchen.